Monica Zent is a true pioneer in legal innovation and entrepreneurship. She's the founder of Zent Law, an award-winning alternative legal services provider that broke the traditional law firm mold when she founded it in 2002. Zent Law has since grown into a nationwide legal services provider serving global brands and major corporations with a unique subscription-based model and flexible talent approach. But Monica's entrepreneurial journey extends well beyond Zent Law. She's a serial entrepreneur who's founded multiple companies, including early internet startups in the 1990s. She's a patent inventor, legal tech founder, angel investor, and advisor to numerous startups. In fact, Monica describes herself as having a career portfolio. She's an entrepreneur who has carved her own path through the legal industry and beyond. Her latest venture is the Law Innovation Agency, a collective that brings together a think tank component, consulting services, and investment connections to help organizations navigate the rapidly changing landscape of legal technology and AI. Throughout her career, Zent has been a strong advocate for innovation, efficiency, and diversity in the legal profession. Her articles on legal innovation, women in technology, entrepreneurship, and leadership have appeared in publications such as Inc. magazine, Bloomberg, Reuters, and the Huffington Post, and she's won numerous awards, including Corporate Council's Women, Influence, and Power in the Law Award in the Innovative Leadership category. On today's show, we'll explore Monica's entrepreneurial journey and her vision for the future of legal services and legal innovation. This is Bob Ambrogi, and this is Law Next, the podcast that features the innovators and entrepreneurs who are driving what's next in law. Before we get to today's conversation, please take this moment to hear from the sponsors who so generously support this podcast. How much of your time disappears into administrative work every day? Practice Panther is the easiest to use legal practice management solution that transforms how your firm operates. With intelligent time capture, secure client collaboration tools, and automated billing workflows, you'll recover billable hours previously lost to paperwork. Practice Panther's platform seamlessly integrates every aspect of your practice, from initial client intake through the final payment collection. Join the community of tens of thousands of legal professionals who've optimized their practice with Practice Panther. Get started by visiting practicepanther.com today, get a free trial, and turn billable potential into realized revenue. You didn't go to law school to waste time writing and responding to discovery requests. Never waste time on discovery again with BriefPoint. BriefPoint drafts your discovery responses and requests for documents within minutes of your first sign-in. BriefPoint is the most reliable discovery drafting solution on the market, and it works right out of the box. Get your first document drafted by going to briefpoint.ai and clicking Get Started. No credit card required. BriefPoint. Draft what matters, automate the rest. Now let's get to today's conversation. Monica Zent, welcome to Law Next.
Hi, Bob. It's nice to be here. An honor. Thank you very much.
It's good to talk to you. I feel like we've seen each other a few times over the last couple of years. We're always saying, "Got to get you on the podcast at some point." So I'm glad we finally managed to do that.
Likewise.
Yeah. Last stuff I want to talk about. You've had a varied and fascinating career, and it made me wonder. Actually, is kind of an initial question. When you meet somebody at a cocktail party and they say, "What do you do?" What do you tell them?
Yeah. Well, I do tell them I wear a number of different hats. I'm first and foremost an entrepreneur, but I've been in the legal industry a long time. I'm a legal innovator. I would say that I have a bit of a career portfolio is how I describe it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've been a lawyer, an entrepreneur, had your own startups, been a consultant. You worked in the music industry or something for a while, right? I think I saw that. Or your dad's a business related to the music industry or something?
Yeah, my startups were in, early internet. My first one was a domain name company back in the early 90s. And I was really a technologist. I mean, a young technologist at a young time in my life. Before that, coding and encoding classes when I was a teen, and I was the only girl in those classes. And, was always interested in technology. And then, the music business, I worked in the music business. I learned up the music business from some amazing experts in that space, and created a concept for a big data company at the time when big data really wasn't a thing. And so created a music licensing big data play that I eventually sold as well. So that was my second exit.
Okay. And getting into the domain name business back then was probably a good move too. Remember when everybody was like buying up everything like eggs.com and whatever.
Yeah, yeah. People were trying to. I had a hard time explaining. I remember to people about what I was doing and the domain names and keywords at the time in 1995 and so forth. People were not really understanding that. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I still will dabble in domain names here and there these days.
Yeah, yeah. So how did that all? I just kind of I don't want to spend a lot of time on the past, but yeah, I mean, how did that kind of get started? What sparked your interest in the law and entrepreneurship, and what kind of brought those together?
Oh, sure. I mean, well, I've been an entrepreneur for as long as I can remember. So I was always that kid with the side hustle going on, something kind of trying to find a way to make a buck. I had jobs all through high school. Outside of school, in college, I worked through college. Had regular jobs. I worked in banking. I worked at a credit union. At one point, I had 3 jobs. I also worked at the law library late at night. So, it was really enmeshed in always sort of having a side hustle going on. And then entrepreneurship was just sort of in my blood and who I am. And so that's a little bit about that journey. It just sort of is kind of evolved naturally as that's sort of the way I'm wired. And then in terms of the law, I decided, in fact, I was going to go to law school, business school, wasn't sure. So I went to law school and then was also enrolled in business school too, but ended up starting businesses and exiting those and navigating my own way through business. So I didn't end up finishing that program.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think having that kind of diverse background has been beneficial to you? And if so, how?
Yeah, I mean, I think in my case it has. I feel I'm an entrepreneur by nature. I've always come up with lots of ideas. I'm very action oriented. I like to act upon them or sort of when I vet them out. I also have a strong creative side. So I think that's led to a lot of the entrepreneurial pursuits and coming up with ideas for things. I am a patented inventor too, and I've invented other things outside of tech. So uh, I I think that's sort of how I am, and in terms of for me, it made sense to kind of be able to scratch that entrepreneurial itch, if you will. I feel that I would have been stifled if I didn't, but it's not for everyone. Obviously, entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, but if it is for you, then I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's one of those things that can be very rewarding if you know that about yourself.
Yeah. Seems like one of the reflections of that sort of combination of law and entrepreneurship is the way you've developed your own law firm, Zent Law, which um, as I have it that you started in 2002, but you took a kind of a different approach to it, right? Can you kind of explain how you've approached your law practice?
Sure. Well, so Zentlaw grew out of, again, another entrepreneurial pursuit. So I had, yeah, after I sold my couple of startups and got into sort of just some other investing on the side, during this time I passed the bar, I practiced law, I practiced in an in-house environment in the entertainment music business, as well as sort of early internet, and then in a large law firm. And so it was through those experiences and also hiring lawyers on my own for my own ventures that I was sort of like, I don't know about this billable hour model. I'm not liking this. There's got to be a better way. And so the business person entrepreneur in me, I came up with this idea of the subscription legal services, the idea of the flexible talent, which at the time when I researched secondments, this idea of a secondment was very uncommon in the business industry. And again, this is almost 24 years ago.
Mhm.
So at the time when I launched Zentlaw, because I felt like, well, there needs to be something in the market for this, and there really isn't. So I launched Zentlaw as an alternative to the conventional law firm environment, as an alternative to the law firm kind of billable hour model as well, and really launching the subscription legal services flex talent model, which at the time was very novel. I mean, there were many companies that I spoke with that didn't understand, they didn't get it. So really carving that path. I was out there along with a few of my contemporaries, early ALSP founders who helped carve the path, and we were out there kind of educating the marketplace. Eventually, fast forward all these years later, the concept of an LSP is practically, it's practically ubiquitous and people understand it. I don't think it's so alternative anymore. I've written about that too, that it probably could be called legal services provider. But
Mhm.
yeah, the idea at the time was novel, especially for the corporate sector. When I went into large corporate enterprise and pitched, it was rough in those early years. There was a lot of educating, but eventually it gained traction and people got it and could see the value.
Yeah, now I'm blanking on who this was, but somebody I had on this podcast actually a number of years ago. But one of the big legal ops gurus, who I know you worked done stuff in legal ops as well, but had made that exactly that point. He said, I hate the phrase alternative legal service providers because to me they're all legal services providers. It's just a question of what model are they using, how are they going to be billing me, what are they going to be doing for me. And I thought that was an interesting thing. But still, I think the industry's acceptance of so-called alternative legal services providers has definitely evolved, particularly since 2002, right? I mean, what have you seen in that regard? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely evolved. I mean, yeah, there's still a way to go a little bit, but it definitely has evolved. I mean, we've grown substantially. I mean, Zentlaw's grown into an award-winning nationwide ALSP. We have global brands that are our clients, with large law firms, government agencies, and institutions. So it's really grown and evolved in ways that, yeah, back then when it started, it really would have been hard to anticipate. So it's pretty amazing. And we've been very efficiency minded from day one. I mean, we were doing legal ops since before legal ops was this big legal ops community that we have now. And so that efficiency driven mindset has also resonated with the legal industry. And early on, that was also something that took a bit of time for clients to kind of recognize the value of. But once they did, they really were able to buy in on that. And that comes just from my own nature. I tend to move fast, act fast. I like efficiency. I like organization. It's a hallmark to what we do at Zentlaw, and something that we carry out through the work with clients. And so that reception around legal ops and efficiencies and even legal tech has obviously grown significantly in these many years.
Yeah. Is Zentlaw an ALSP in the true sense of the word, in that you have attorneys that are working for you, that are performing outsourced legal work for corporate legal or law firms or whatever the model might be? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, we have two core teams at Zentlaw. So we've got the team that supports the flex talent engagements. And so these could be attorneys at different levels, but we also have paralegals, contracts managers, compliance legal specialists, even legal ops professionals that will roll onto those engagements and then eventually either roll off or they're converted by our client. So that tends to be a team that has a lot of change involved in terms of expansion or contraction, depending on what's going on at any given point in time with those engagements. And then the other side of our house is sort of the team that's dedicated to the subscription legal services as well as the legal ops support or legal ops oriented work. And we work with some partners on the legal ops front, but also we do some support on that end. A lot of times we'll see things around like the contract management, contract lifecycle, CLM implementation, contract readiness support. And then, but on the legal services front, yes, we have folks that are, again, attorneys at different levels that will work with clients on the subscription legal services accounts.
One of the, I think, defining characteristics of most of the modern ALSPs, I guess modern ALSP is redundant, I guess, because it's sort of a modern concept. But is there use of technology to help drive the kinds of efficiencies you were talking about? So, what do you do in that regard? I mean, how are you using technology in order to enhance how Zentlaw is delivering legal help?
Yeah, I mean, well, we've been early tech adopters, as you can imagine. So we've always been using technology within Zentlaw and on various fronts. I mean, way back when it was, sort of cloud, and even clients who were worried about getting into the cloud. And then it was, electronic signatures, right? And using those platforms. So we've been an early adopter of all technology available to the legal industry. And then, of course, on the legal tech front, we also created Zentlaw Labs. I created Zentlaw Labs years ago before it was a thing to create sort of a labs or incubation function within a legal services provider or law firm environment. So within Zentlaw Labs, we created and incubated some of our own technologies. We also created some things that were pushed out to clients, some early AI chatbots, a clause engine, some other things that were sort of unique, some repositories and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, legal tech is part of the fabric of what we do at Zentlaw. And now, of course, as you can imagine, a lot of the sort of AI focused tools and being able to leverage AI to deliver certain services to clients. That we're going to have some other things coming out on the AI front that we'll talk about. And I'll certainly let you know once we launch those. But thinking of sort of how else we can help clients do more with less, and then making technology or legal tech available to clients, not directly through us, but also through any legal ops consulting work we do and helping them navigate the legal tech kind of landscape.
Yeah. You actually launched a legal tech product at some point, right? LawDesk 360. Did that come out of that lab? Was that something that came out of your work?
Some early legal tech products, right? So I mean, there was Foxworthy out there and launched that, and then
Yeah,
I launched LawDesk 360. Some of those early products came out of client conversations, candidly. I mean, the early product, the social collaboration platform, came out of direct conversations with clients who were trying to
that's
solve the
Foxworthy, the social.
yeah,
Yeah,
trying to solve for the ability to collaborate with their colleagues within their legal team, as well as sort of colleagues that they knew at other companies. And so at the time, as you can imagine, because this is almost, I mean, 14 years ago, uh, there Slack, yeah, I know it's a long time ago. Slack and some of these other tools really weren't prevalent. The idea of using
yeah.
Facebook groups wasn't something that our legal team counterparts wanted to do. So we ended up creating this product. I created it along with some engineering team staff, and we kind of worked on it together. We had some early kind of commercial adoption. We had some associations adopt it. We had some law departments, some boutique law firms. It didn't reach the commercial success that would have anticipated at the time.
Yeah.
But I think what was interesting is sort of a key learning is kind of just looking at a lot of times with tech, especially legal tech, as you know, because you've been in this such a long time too. Um, Sometimes things are too early to the market. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's just not the right time. It might be solving a real problem that exists, but maybe the market isn't quite ready. And so it was one of those issues, I think, where the market readiness wasn't there to kind of reach that critical mass. But there were some great learnings. And then some of the technology pieces and features within that product eventually used to create LawDesk 360, which is more of a sort of an enterprise level AI powered collaboration technology. And LawDesk 360, we had a bit more commercial success with that in terms of adoption by corporate law departments as well as sort of other legal teams. Um, with LawDesk 360, again, though, at the time, I mean, as a founder, what I envisioned in terms of the output was some of the features, like especially our clause engine. The output was okay. I mean, we were using machine learning and natural language processing, but it wasn't the level that I envisioned as a founder that I wanted to see. And I think that was a challenge of just where the technology was at the time. I mean, Lotus 360 came out almost 7 years ago. So this is pre LLMs, pre ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So we didn't have the benefit of those products at the time. And again, it kind of goes back to this, what I found is interesting about legal tech around what's available to us. I mean, right
Hmm.
now, there's so much available with the LLMs. And it's funny, it's kind of, I had this full circle moment at Clock. I ran into Max, who founded Legora and AI collaboration technology. And he was saying to me, thank you for paving the way. Thank you for creating a legal tech AI collaboration technology so early, because it kind of did pave the way for some of these later technologies that have come out now that can do so much more with the LLMs. And that's what I find really rewarding right now, is talking to legal tech founders and advising as well on their journey, because yeah, some of us early folks were able to help pave some of that way.
Yeah. I want to get to that, but uh, on the Foxworthy, I felt like you and I got off on the wrong foot back back in the Foxworthy days. It's the first time I wrote about it. I didn't write. It probably wasn't the best blog post, but I think my main point at the time, it was actually kind of interesting because there were actually, you were not alone in trying to kind of create this legal professional network site online, and there were a few different sites trying to do that at the time, and it was, I think it was a really interesting concept. It was more, part of the problem was that too many people were trying to do it, and then part of the problem was, I think, also just that things like, just kind of LinkedIn and Facebook and whatever came along and dominated the scene in terms of all of that, and it
Yeah, that's
changed. Yeah.
totally. I mean, that's what happened soon after, is that we started to see Slack, which then started to get adopted by our clients as the
Mhm.
internal kind of collaboration tool. And then we started to see more people getting on LinkedIn. I mean, again, I was an early power user on LinkedIn. I was one of just a very early user. They were also a client too, frankly. And but there weren't a ton of lawyers on LinkedIn at the time. But of course, as we see, that as we've noticed, that's grown. So yeah, some of these tools after that product launched, some of these tools came out, and I think that's the thing too with legal tech. It's just, again, there can be a lot of issues around timing. So sometimes when I talk to founders now, it's obviously okay. What problem are you solving? Are you solving a problem that is a problem that exists right now today that needs to be solved? And also the timing on that. Is the market ready for this problem to be solved? And are they willing to put money behind it and buy
Hmm.
it? And so I think those are still valid questions for legal tech founders.
Oh, very much so. I mean, it's pretty funny to me how often I'll speak to somebody with a startup who hasn't really thought through that. What what problem am I solving? Though they will have thought through the problem they're solving for themselves in some cases, but
Yeah.
not the problem that they might be. Whether there's a market problem out there that needs to be solved. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's go-to-market learnings too that I've learned as well. So a lot of learnings. I mean, as an entrepreneur, my philosophy is, you win some and you don't. I mean, you learn along the way. And I've had some successful, so very successful outcomes with exits, profitable exits, and profitable businesses. And then you have some that maybe don't hit the level of commercial success or adoption that you hope for, and then you kind of look back and assess, okay, why? What can I learn? What's my takeaway? But I'm a huge believer that we never stop learning, and everything is a learning experience.
Monica Zent's newest venture is the Law Innovation Agency, where she's bringing together legal innovators, tech visionaries, and investors to pioneer tomorrow's legal landscape. Coming up, we'll talk about that venture and what she sees as AI's potential impact on the practice of law. I'll also get her advice for young lawyers and young entrepreneurs entering a rapidly changing profession. But first, please take this opportunity to learn about the sponsors who so generously support this podcast. Remember when you became an attorney to practice law, not to do paperwork? Practice Panther helps you get back to your passion. As the leading all-in-one legal practice management software, Practice Panther eliminates administrative burdens with automated client intake, document management, expense tracking, and much more. Plus, with secure client portals and seamless online payment processing, you'll deliver an exceptional client experience while boosting your bottom line. Tens of thousands of attorneys worldwide have already transformed their practice. Now it's your firm's turn. Start your free trial at practicepanther.com. Voice recognition is great for quick texts or emails, but when accuracy matters, AI guesses. As you well know, in law, guessing isn't an option. With SpeakRight, real human transcriptionists deliver accurate, professionally formatted legal documents in about 3 hours. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The free mobile app provides instant access to trained legal secretaries, plus Clio integration for seamless filing. It's like carrying a full support staff on your phone. LawNext listeners, claim your $100 free credit right now at speakright.com/LawNext. Welcome back to LawNext. I'm Bob Ambrogi, and my guest today is Monica Zent, founder of Zent Law and a pioneer in legal innovation. Before the break, Monica was sharing insights from her entrepreneurial journey and her development of legal tech solutions. Now let's turn to her newest venture, the Law Innovation Agency, that's aiming to reshape the future of legal services. Let's get back to that conversation. So your newest venture, if I have this right, is the Law Innovation Agency. Can you talk about what that is? What's the mission, and how does it fit into your own vision for innovation in the legal field?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've been an innovation proponent for a long time, written and spoken on this topic a lot in the legal industry. And Law Innovation Agency is a collective of people that bring sort of these backgrounds within the space to advise. So we have a think tank component, we have sort of a strategy and consulting, so the strategy, consulting plus execution component, and then the investment component. And so the investment component serving as a liaison with the venture community as they evaluate investments in legal tech, as well as serving as a liaison with legal tech companies themselves in terms of how they go to market and what their strategy is around that. And then on the client front, working with sort of large law firms or corporate legal teams or government entities or institutions on how they can bring legal tech and in particular AI into their organization. What should the governance and policy be around that? How can they sort of look at digital transformation in a way that's going to be effective for them and sort of helping them navigate that? The think tank component there is also there to sort of support a lot of these initiatives, sort of feeding into what we're doing on those other fronts. So I'm really
Great.
excited.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot there. I mean, is the primary focus on kind of working with more startups and younger stage companies and trying to help them evolve and think about your go to market strategy and fundraising and things like that, or is it
Both.
much more? But
More, it's definitely more of the corporate government agency, law firm, and really helping them with the digital transformation work in terms of what they should be doing with respect to legal tech and AI, and how does that look, and how does that play into what they're trying to accomplish in their organization.
all right,
So
I thought I heard in there somewhere something about in terms of advising startups and younger entrepreneurs, but that's not part.
there is part of that.
That
Yes, part of
okay.
that. A little bit of that too. I wouldn't say it's the primary focus, but there is part of that as well.
Yeah, okay. All right. And then you're doing investing as well, or
Not direct investment for one agency, it's more of the investment liaison. So really looking at sort of as a bridge to the investment community on the legal tech front. As you know, I mean, legal tech as a space, it's not an area other than the legal tech fund, right, where the investors are focused exclusively on that. We do have a lot of great progressive investors that are sort of looking at this as part of their thesis, and they make some legal tech investments, but it's not like you're going to have a lot of funds that are focused exclusively on legal tech. And so serving as a liaison to them to help them better understand the space, the opportunity, as well as the companies that are in the space.
yeah. So can you give me an example of it could be a hypothetical, but then somebody who would why would somebody come to you and what would you do for them?
Yeah, I mean, law innovation agency, an example would be, let's say it's a government institution and they're overwhelmed with all the different AI tools out there. They're not really sure. I mean, this is a real conversation. Trying to navigate all the legal tech that's out there, not sure where to begin, don't really know what they should start with, and looking to us to help advise on, okay, first of all, where could they leverage legal tech? What makes sense? Do they need, maybe, do we need to take a step backwards? Do we need to look at process and people? Sometimes we have to do that first. So then we bring in sort of the legal ops front, folks on that front in terms of advising on that. So we may bring in one of our legal ops partners or even ZentLaw, but bringing in somebody on the legal ops front to sort of look
Hmm.
at that, step back and look at the people and process first.
Hmm.
Uh, and then helping them navigate, once those pieces are in place, helping them navigate what legal tech's going to make sense. So for sort of a government institution, there are different things that could be helping to solve for, but sometimes it's also just your basic automation of tasks. I mean, forget even AI. We're still talking automation in some cases of certain things, and then and then leveraging AI where we can to help augment what they're trying to do. But that would be an example of an engagement, and that is an example of a real life engagement that's underway. So that's sort of, hopefully that answers your question.
That does, yeah. But it actually raises a sort of a very basic question that we probably should have talked about 20 minutes ago or something, which is when we're talking about innovation, when you talk about innovation, what are you talking about?
Great question. I know, right? It's thrown around a lot. It's becoming like one of those terms. It's funny, innovation. I mean, I wrote a piece way back in 2017 about the innovation mindset and why every lawyer should have an innovation mindset. And it was kind of widely shared. I got a lot of comments and feedback on that piece, very positive comments. And it's sort of interesting because, I mean, here we are many years later and still talking about it. But I do believe that. I believe that innovation is one of those things where it is sort of constantly sort of that, and it might be the tinkerer in me because I do like to tinker as an entrepreneur, but it's sort of this idea of constantly looking at or reevaluating, okay, what are we doing? How could we be doing it better? What do we need to be doing differently? And also maybe adopting a bit of that legal ops lens too, looking at the people, process, technology piece and trying to identify, because sometimes innovation, I mean, when people think of innovation, they think of tech. I mean, a lot of us think of tech first, but you also have to think about innovation in terms of a different way of doing things. I mean, Even launching ZentLab was innovative. It was a different business model.
Mhm.
Forget the tech piece. And so looking at sort of a different way of doing things, good examples would be even the culture, company culture, looking at, well, what kind of training do we need to bring into play here? I mean, a lot of our team members don't know how to engage or leverage AI and what it can do for them. So, what kind of training do we need to look at? How do we need to innovate our onboarding processes when we bring people on? Or how do we need to innovate the way we look at what the skill set is that we need our legal team members to have? Innovating on the process front, looking at what could we be doing differently on the process front. Do we need to look at fresh or unique processes before we begin to bring tech on? And then obviously technology itself, it's inherently is an innovation if you're not using it already. If you are using it, then okay, how can you further innovate? Are we talking AI? Agentic AI now is what we're talking about a lot of these days. And so innovation to me is something that it's a mindset, really, and it's a mindset around how you approach the work or your team or your law practice or whatever sector of the industry you may be operating in. It's really a mindset in terms of how you approach looking at that with a fresh lens.
Yeah. I think one of the, as you said, we talk about that word innovation so much that I think it takes on a weight that maybe is even heavier than it needs to be, or it becomes a daunting term to some, or to some, I think they begin to feel like it's a mandate without really knowing what the mandate is. That we need to innovate, but what does that mean? And I think in some ways it becomes daunting. As I said, that maybe there's a side of innovation that can just be kind of baby steps. It doesn't have to be some major change in an organization, right? I mean, it's really just kind of trying to take steps towards making things better and more efficient.
Exactly. And I feel that innovation, which is why I wrote that piece years ago, it's accessible to anyone in the industry. So you don't need to be a big corporate legal team with a legal ops function to innovate. You could be Joe Solo lawyer out there figuring out how to innovate his or her practice and what does that mean, and what can you do? Or you could be somebody within a government function that is just questioning, okay, can't we be doing this a little bit differently? And so that's the thing. I think it's very accessible and a lot more accessible than people may realize.
So turning slightly away from that, in reading up on you and about you, one of the references I frequently see is that you emphasize this concept of the servant leader mindset, and talk about the fact that you've tried to at Zent Law and your other work tried to build a people first culture. What does that all mean? Explain, what do you mean by that?
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean, it probably goes back to some of my earliest jobs in my life where I was working in banking. Banking at the time, they were really known for customer service. And I learned a lot of very good early customer service skills in my banking and credit union jobs. And I don't know if that exists so much today anymore, but it did way back then. And it sort of was ingrained in me, and I've carried it through my career and in my businesses. And I've often talked about the law is a service business, and I do believe that. And so I've built that into the culture at Zentlaw. I've built it into the culture of any company I've created, and the people and the team that I work with, and the types of people I hire. But it's also it's not just a mandate or sort of an expectation in terms of how we interact with clients, in terms of having that service oriented mindset. But I believe strongly that as a leader of any organization, if you're expecting your team to have a service oriented mindset with your client base or your customer base, you have to adopt that yourself as a leader. And I feel it needs to start internally, and that also means how we relate to one another as team members, and how managers or supervisors or team leaders treat their team members. And I've always believed that a relationship with any team member is built, including as well as clients, and sort of external relationships, internal relationships are built on trust and built on mutual respect and built on sort of helping them to grow. Uh, People who've worked with me or worked for me have often found that I've pushed them a little outside their comfort zone so they can grow. And they are always very happy after, because they come back and are like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I could do that until you gave me that opportunity. So I really believe that that's sort of that idea of really looking out for what's best for that person and trying to help them grow, but building this relationship based on trust as well.
I mean, is that almost like taking a customer service mindset toward your own employees?
Yes, yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it sounds good. I like that. Oddly enough, are at a time when suddenly it seems like DEI has become a bad word. But I'm curious for you, as a woman entrepreneur, woman founder, advocate in your own career for diversity and inclusion. What's your take on maybe the legal tech industry or the legal industry more broadly in terms of what kind of progress we've made in terms of opportunities for women and encouraging diversity?
Yeah, it's a great question. I know. I'm not sure. I know it's DEI has kind of become a strange term right now for some reason, but fundamentally the concept I believe is valuable and important, and it's something that we've always built into our values at Zentlaw, and I've built into my own personal values of diversity and inclusion and kindness, and I feel that that is just something critical to any sector, any industry. I would say in the legal industry, we've come a long way. I mean, I've been in the legal industry for nearly 30 years, and it's grown significantly. I mean, I feel that at this point in time, yes, I mean, there are so many roles, opportunities, and so forth that are accessible to women and people of color, as well as others on the diversity spectrum. We're starting to see more around neurodiversity. We're starting to see, and then we have veterans. We have folks that suffer various types of other disabilities that again previously might have been shut out of the industry, and we're starting to see that obviously a lot more acceptance for the LGBTQ community. So we're starting to see a lot of acceptance in the legal industry that didn't exist before, and that's good. It's good to see. It's good to see that there is more of it's sort of an open mindset in the legal industry, and I believe every person should have an opportunity to pursue what they want to pursue. I would say to answer your question on the legal tech front, yeah, I mean, when I started, there weren't that many female legal tech founders. We were a
No,
small group.
up just a few years ago, there weren't too many. It's
No,
changed. It's changed quickly. But
yeah, I was one of the early ones, and one of the few female legal tech founders. So it's really nice to see a lot of female legal tech founders come up, and I've talked with and advised many of them, and then just to, in general, see a diversity across different areas in legal tech. I mean, I've seen very diverse teams. I've seen people of color founding diverse companies. I've advised them too, and it's just really rewarding to see. I really don't understand why we even have to still pay attention to diversity, equity, and inclusion. It should just be something that is automatic and happening in every part of our industry. But I'm glad to see that we have made progress. There's still some work to do, but
you talked earlier about somebody who came up to you at Clock and thank you for kind of blazing the trail that they were able to follow later. When you look now towards the horizon, what are you sort of seeing as likely to be significant change over the next couple of years, either with regard to sort of ALSPs in particular, or with regard to legal services and legal tech more broadly?
yeah, it's a great question. I mean, these prediction questions are always really fun to
Yeah,
talk about.
I
I would
like
say,
asking them. I hate answering them.
yeah, I know. So ALSPs, I will say, definitely ALSPs will continue to grow. I think we'll continue to kind of start to see more of the market share dedicated to LSPs. There's still a lot of room for growth there. And we're just scratching the surfaces on some level at some point with LSP adoption in certain parts of the market. So I believe we'll continue to see significant growth on the ALSP front. On the legal tech front, yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, I'm very bullish on legal tech. I've been a legal tech angel investor for 12 years, obviously a legal tech founder several times over. I've also overseen legal tech that we've created and incubated within Zentlaw Labs. And now I've sort of focused a lot on legal tech advisory as well, in terms of not just working with founders and kind of advising them, but also with the venture community. I write a newsletter on LinkedIn called Venture Legal, and I do kind of delve into these topics around the legal tech environment as it pertains to the investment opportunity and the investment community. I think the other thing too, it's interesting is
I
that
read it. I read it, by the way. You've got, I think, what, the five up so far or something like that. I think.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. One of the issues I covered was in one of the issues of the newsletter was around legal tech as a sector, and
Mhm.
I tried to dispel this myth that I found in the investment community that sometimes they have around legal tech being very niche, and I kind of talked about the fact that it's really not a niche sector. It's actually quite broad, and legal
Mhm.
touches so many different functions. So there are a lot of opportunities from reg tech to marketing tech to cybersecurity and whatnot. So really talk about that. I would say the opportunity for legal tech is huge. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
massive market. I'm again very bullish on this market. There's lots and lots of opportunity. And I also believe that there are certain types of legal tech, to get to your predictions question. There are certain areas within legal tech that haven't yet been funded as much. They've been underfunded or not funded yet at all. And I believe we're going to see a lot of opportunity there. We've seen a lot of money thrown at legal tech around like the CLM space, for example. Before that, it was a lot of the e-discovery space. Before that, it was legal research. And we're starting to, we still see opportunities there, but there are a lot of other areas where there's a lot more legal tech opportunity. And then we haven't even gotten to...
Such as?
Oh, I mean, I would say predictive analytics I'm interested in. I'm very interested in IP management, sort of AI-driven IP management, interested in, of course, regulatory tech, sort of any of the compliance-oriented technologies. So those are just a few examples of areas that have been underfunded and underdeveloped. And I feel that we'll start to see more, not only startups, but investment in those spaces too.
When you do your seed investing, what do you like to invest in?
Well, of course, legal tech. But in terms of what...
I mean, any particular kind or...
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now, those areas. I'm interested in sort of the compliance, the reg tech space. I'm interested in cybersecurity always, to the extent that there's sort of a legal tech component or angle to it. Interested in the predictive analytics space. I feel like we're just beginning to scratch the surface there of some of the capabilities with AI. I'm still interested in agentic AI. Obviously, I feel that agentic AI is just going to take off. And so I'm really looking at sort of those spaces as it pertains to workflows and other things. And so interested in that. So those are just a few areas.
You mentioned you've been an innovator for, I think you said almost 30 years. For somebody who's just getting into it, so for somebody who's a young, maybe coming out of law school with a entrepreneurial bent, or just interested in possibly becoming an entrepreneur or a founder, what's your top advice? What do you tell them?
Oh yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I love to sort of mentor and talk with sort of the emerging legal professionals out there, legal tech founders. Well, I would say, I guess first of all would be, for the emerging legal professional, I would say have a open mindset around your career. I don't believe we have to have people pigeonholed into very conventional paths anymore, and I think that's very good for legal professionals. So be open-minded about gaining experience, looking at different opportunities within your career to gain experience. You don't have to necessarily follow a particular path as long as you're doing what you enjoy and learning up the skills. I think another piece of advice would certainly be around the technology, obviously embracing technology, learn how to use AI effectively to augment what you're doing, and really immerse yourself in sort of what legal tech is out there, because that's a skill set. It's a skill set that you can bring with you as you evolve in your practice, wherever you may go. I would also say to try to adopt that innovation mindset, or that legal ops oriented mindset too, thinking about efficiencies, thinking about how you can do things differently or better. And again, carry that with you into whatever role that you're taking. I would say the last piece of advice I would have would be around, not forgetting that idea that we as lawyers have a duty, I believe, to society as well. And so, yes, there's a purpose of a career and making money, having a good living and whatnot, but there's also, I believe, the importance of leveraging our skills and background and training to give back. And pro bono service has been something we've done every single year at Zent Law. It's always been something I've spent time on. I believe it's important for every legal professional to remember that we have a duty to help our communities in whatever capacity we can. And so being able to use those skills to do that. And I think that there's a lot of opportunities still out there. And then some can be unlocked with legal tech too. I focus on legal tech for the enterprise and more of the corporate, but still a lot of opportunities for legal tech to help bridge the justice gap, help folks that need help. And I believe our duty as lawyers is first and foremost to our society and humanity to help ensure that there's an equal administration of justice and that fairness and the law is accessible to all.
That's a good point on which to stop. Because I 100% agree with you on that, and I'm glad you brought that up. But Monica, thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation with me today. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you. Likewise. Really enjoy it, Bob. I appreciate it. And it's an honor to be here. So thank you.
All right. Hope to see you around the conference circuit at some point.
Yes, I'm sure it will. Well, let me know when the podcast comes out and we'll share it and everything too on our end. And yeah, excited to see. Hopefully it turns out okay.
Thanks for listening to today's show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to share your own thoughts or comments, please do so by messaging us on LinkedIn or other social media, or just email me directly, ambrogi@gmail.com. If you're a fan of LawNext, please leave us a review. LawNext is a production of LawNext Media. I'm your host, Bob Ambrogi. Hope you'll join us again next time for another episode of LawNext.